Don't overcomplicate it. Make sure that you're sharing your journey and the stuff will come into play. But I think a lot of people are looking for the perfect photos, the perfect poses, the perfect quality. And that's not what does well. If you look at one of the most infamous videos of all time, the highest converting ad on Facebook, Ty Lopez here in my garage, him with like an iPhone 4 with his Lamborghini in the background talking to the phone.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video I sit down with Mike Sherrard from Alberta and we discuss his experiences, opinions, and how he was able to build a successful business really by focusing on social media and branding. Now, a lot of us, when we start thinking about social media, we immediately think of hundreds of thousands of followers or hundreds of thousands of fans are necessary in order to be successful as a social media influencer. But in fact, if you're a real estate investor, or like in Mike's case, you're a realtor, you don't actually need that big of a fan base. In fact, having 100 true fans or 1,000 true fans can really turn into a very financially successful and viable business. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. But at the end of this episode, we're also going to be sharing some really important tips that I think you should be taking to heart if you're a new realtor or even just a new real estate investor. There's a lot of mistakes I see newbies make, and it really comes down to not focusing on your audience. So let's dive into today's video with Mike.
What's up, guys? My name is Mike Sherrard. Incredibly honored to be on Matt McKeever's YouTube channel today. I was recognized as one of the top 30 realtors on social media in the world, and currently I'm a team leader at eXp Realty and founder of high converting content that helps entrepreneurs and real estate agents with branding, content marketing, and social media marketing, working with channels all the way up to people who've featured guests like Grant Cardone, Ed Milet, Tony Robbins, Tom Bilyeu, and Manny Koshman. So I'm excited to be on here with Matt to talk to you about the best social media strategies in 2020 for real estate agents and real estate investors, and how to leverage different platforms in order to exponentially scale your business in 2020.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and today on the channel I'm really excited. I've got Mike Sherrard. If you guys have never came across his content before, he's actually a fellow Canuck, so a Canadian living out in Alberta, and got started in the whole concept of real estate as a realtor, but then moved in towards the actual online marketing space. So, hey, Mike, how's it going?
Yeah, good, man. So excited to finally be collaborating with other Canadians up here in Igloo Land, and try and provide some value, because similar to yourself, I find there's so much content out there for agents and investors in the States, and a lot of the things don't apply similarly up here. So this is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into some of the marketing tactics that you're seeing realtors take on. But before we do that, do you mind just giving a little bit of context to the audience? What's your background? What's your story? And really, how did you really get into this space?
Definitely. So I'll try and give you the Coles notes, because sometimes I find even when I'm doing collaborations, people go on a 10-minute spiel. So the long and short of it was I ended up getting 2 degrees in 3 years back in university, engineering and something called technology management and entrepreneurship. Got into engineering, did quite well there, was leading a team of 750 people in my first year, was recognized as a top employee of 60,000 in my first year, and quit 2 weeks later because they said, Mike, you're a promising up and coming employee. Where do you want to go in the company? And I said, oil and gas sales. And they said, no problem. It's just going to take 7 years of technical work. And when I realized that even though they've pegged me as an up-and-coming employee that works at a different capacity, they still wanted me to adhere to their corporate structure, and that didn't align. So I got into real estate primarily because I realized I wanted to learn marketing, branding, and sales. And that was a low barrier to entry of something that I became interested in after reading things like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I got into real estate, was door knocking. The first day I was licensed, I went door knocking in the snow in -10 in the dark, and got 2 listings at $700,000. So I was excited. But what I realized is that this isn't scalable. It's something that I always have to put the boots on the ground on and invest my time in order to make money. But the wealthy people like yourself that I was talking to were trading money for time. And that's when I realized I wanted to build a business that allows me to be a bit more free. So I started getting on social media and realized, as a new person, young, not from this town, I need to leverage outside of myself. So, lo and behold, I started getting on Instagram, and 10 months later, I was recognized as one of the top 30 realtors in the world on social media, just behind the $500,000 listing. So that was really exciting for me. Kind of fast forward about 2 years into real estate, I started realizing that 100% of my business came through social media. But not just that, I started having a lot of people from other industries reaching out to me, asking about building personal brands, leveraging social media, and creating content that converts. So that kind of transition and segue into my recent project that I launched last year, which is high converting content. So we do content marketing and social media marketing and branding for entrepreneurs. About 50% of our clients are in real estate, but we've also worked with people like Gerard Adams, Sam Bakhtiar, and a lot of these bigger, well-known entrepreneurs in different spaces.
Awesome, man. That's amazing. And definitely you hit on a lot of themes there that resonate with myself and even my stories. So my YouTube followers will be familiar with Jeff Weibo, who's a realtor here in London. And
Yep.
Jeff really built his entire business as well, just through Instagram and Facebook, and really just organically through just, trying to provide value first. The idea of, Gary Vee's jab, 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 right hook. So let's talk about online marketing and realtors, and then maybe we'll transition into how this applies for wholesalers as well, because I've got a lot of wholesalers that watch this and a lot of aspiring wholesalers as well. But when I think about real estate, and particularly realtors, it's an industry that moves really slow. Like, it's not actually that fast to adapt to technology. So one, when you were first trying to adapt it, did you have friction? Like, were people looking at you like you were crazy and stuff? And what gave you the confidence to just kind of blow through that?
Yeah, that's an incredible question. And there's kind of two different answers. So on the branding side, I definitely received some raised eyebrows, if you will, because when I got started in real estate, I was 24, not from this city, and no experience. So instead of doing the typical bus benches and things like mailers, I said, how can I stand out by leveraging a passion of mine, which is cars? So I have wrapped today all of my BMWs in purple. So that definitely, people had one opinion or another, but largely that really helped me build a powerful personal brand, and the majority of the feedback's been incredible. So that was one thing that I kind of stepped outside of the norm. Some agents didn't like it, but the general public loved it, and that's who I was trying to go after anyway. I'm not trying to impress other agents. Now, on the marketing side, what I kind of found back in 2017 was that there wasn't many people in the real estate space in all of North America that were doing things on social media that I admired. So what I did back in 2017 was more so look at the leaders in general entrepreneurship, the Tom Bilyeu's, Grant Cardone's, Ed Mylett, Sandy Frizella's, looked at what they were doing, and then I simply applied that to real estate because nobody was doing it. And the results were incredible because I was kind of zigging while everybody else was zagging. And by doing something that stood out in a way that they're not used to, it converted extraordinarily high. And now I've helped agents across the world with these kind of practices. So I thought it was really exciting to see that there wasn't anything that I really loved being done in this industry, but in other industries there was. And taking that, kind of breaking it down, applying it to our industry, and realizing that that kind of paved a path and paved a way for something that people haven't seen before.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Now, when I do see realtors initially adapting or adopting social media, I would love to hear first what you think they should be doing, but I'm going to share what I see most often. And it's literally just their social media feed becomes a parade of listings. And it's just listing after listing after listing. So I'm glad to see you shaking your head no, because I know definitely as a consumer of their content, I immediately get disengaged because one, it comes off as extremely transactional. But two, there's no fun to it. It's literally just like this static process. And what I've also often noticed is that realtors, when they decide to actually come out of the closet as being a realtor and start posting on social media about it, they often immediately split and they create a private page that's for personal, where they actually put their fun shit. And then they create a business page where they only ever show listings and they're completely within the box of being a realtor. So, okay, yeah, riff on that and just kind of share your experience and wisdom.
Yeah, I think that's, I see it time and time again. And this is one of the biggest things that I say in all my free webinars and all my YouTube videos is, the worst thing you can do with Instagram or any social media platform for that matter is to create a reincarnation of a Homes and Land magazine. Because at the end of the day, what you need to look at is consumer behavior. So put yourself in the consumer's shoes and say, if you were an an unbiased, remove your realtor hat. If you were general public and you came across an Instagram profile, who would you reach out to look to help you buy or sell a house? Nobody in the history of the world has ever looked at a photo of a listing and said, regardless of which agent is behind that house, I want to work with them. It's never happened. They could be a misalignment of personality. They could be older if you're looking for somebody younger. They could be younger if you're looking for somebody older. It's never happened. So why are you expecting people to act in a different way than you would act if you were in their shoes? So for me, it's about building a business that I would connect to if I was on the other side of the screen. And that comes by way of sharing your true personality. For me personally, the highest conversion aspect of social media for me has been Instagram stories, because it's raw, it's unfiltered, it's transparent, and it gives people an opportunity to see the true version of yourself, get to know the tonality of your voice, see the day in the life of you, and build a true connection. In 4 months as a realtor, I got a $15 million listing from Instagram stories from somebody that was watching my story, seeing that I was waking up at 4 a.m., working till midnight. And they said, Mike, we've got the most expensive listing in Calgary. We want somebody that's going to work that hard for our listing. They never would have reached out to me if I posted other listing photos, because every agent's doing that. They wanted somebody that they align with internally on their personality basis. So for me, getting started as a realtor, it's so easy and people keep overcomplicating it. It's sharing your journey. Let's break it down for a quick second here. Why do people love the show $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset or these flipping shows? It's not because of the $1 Million Listings. It's because people are genuinely interested in the real estate industry, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So what I took upon myself, I said, okay, there's no $1 Million Listing show in Calgary, but how can I become the agent that shows everybody what goes on behind the scenes of the transaction? And as you simply whip out this little millionaire device here and just start documenting what you're doing, like Gary Vee says, document, don't create, this gives you an opportunity to start to really build a business that people connect with. So it doesn't have to be complicated. People are already naturally interested in what you're doing. It's just a matter of flipping a phone around and conveying that message through your content.
Hey YouTube, have you guys been enjoying the sponsorship splash page we have at the end of every YouTube video now? Do you guys like it? Are you a business owner or maybe just a real estate influencer or investor and you'd like more exposure to potentially my YouTube audience? Well, now you can help support my YouTube channel as well as grow your personal brand or your business brand by sponsoring my splash page. It's really not that expensive, and if you want to find out more information, it'll be all below in the video description down. So just go grab it, reach out to my team, and let's chat.
This gives you an opportunity to start to really build a business that people connect with. So it doesn't have to be complicated. People are already naturally interested in what you're doing. It's just a matter of flipping a phone around and conveying that message through your content.
Yeah, I love that. That was really well said, man. And I'm glad to hear we're on the same page because, man, those realtor pages just become unfollowable, in my opinion, when they all of a sudden do that hard conversion into just sell, 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 sell.
It's terrible. One of the biggest things that I ask people, and this is, before we keep moving on, I just have to say this, is when people are posting on social media, the biggest thing that I'm going to ask the audience to do is do this simple quality test. Before you post your photo, remove your realtor hat and then look at your own photo and say, if this photo landed on your Instagram feed, A, would you like it? B, would you go so far as to comment on it? And C, would it intrigue you enough to then go so far to take time out of your busy day to check out their profile and follow them? And what you're going to see is if you do that quality test on your own content, 90% of the time you would never comment on your own photos and you would never follow yourself because it's not providing enough entertainment or value and education for you to like your own stuff. So if you do that quality test, you're going to see that the majority of your content isn't enough for you to want to comment, like, and follow. So why would other people do that if you wouldn't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% agree. And, using Jeff Weibel as an example, for him, he really brought out his passion for James Bond. So he's been like a huge James Bond nerd since he was little. And so he really used that to blend kind of the idea of luxury homes, James Bond, and there's a certain symbiosis or symmetry there that worked really well for him. Now, what about for realtors that, maybe they're trying to break into a niche of real estate where maybe some of their personal passions or hobbies, they feel like don't naturally align that easily with it? Are there certain lines in the sand as far as like keeping your page professional, or do you share everything? Is there a line? Is it a tightrope that we're walking here, or is it a completely open playing field?
Definitely. I think there's definitely a bit of gray area there, because I think it's important for people to share their passions and interests. Because here's the thing, if you look at any big, powerful personal brand, the Tony Robbins, the Andy Frisellas, the Gary V's, they're polarizing. There's a lot of people that love Gary Vee. There's a lot of people that hate him. And what you'll see is that if you're a fence rider, nobody's going to follow, because you're trying to please everybody and you end up pleasing nobody. So what I say to the people that are worried about sharing their passion and potentially swaying some people away from you, that's fine, because the ones that do align with that are going to become diehard fans. And it's much better to have 100 diehard fans that would shout your name from a mountaintop and refer you anytime they hear buy, sell, or invest, versus 1,000 people that kind of just are somewhat interested in you, but don't know why you'd be the right person. So for me, my passion is I love cars, I love fitness, I love mountain biking and doing things like that. I share that because I know that some people that might look at it and say, oh, you driving a Lamborghini is materialistic. Well, that's fine. You don't have to like my content, but the people in the car industry love it. So I'd much rather dive deep into servicing the people that already align with me versus trying to please the people that I'm never going to connect with anyway. So why try and be a catch-all? It's better to build your audience with people that align with you more than just a business level, because when you have these conversations and you can go on a personal level and start chatting with somebody about a car first and then it rolls into business, they no longer feel like as soon as you're going to talk to them, it's going to be about a sale or about a pitch or about a new investment opportunity. They know that you can connect on a personal level, and that's going to allow the connection to foster, and they're much more likely to be diehard referrals in the end.
Yeah, absolutely agree. That ability to be polarizing and create super fans is very powerful. And everyone that's new to the idea of being an influencer or playing on social media, they immediately want to play it safe and stay in the middle. They're afraid of that negative comment. One thing, there's a great quote out there that there's no statutes built of critics. And so that's something I constantly remind myself of, because like sometimes like I've been on social media for a while, so I'm familiar with all its dark corners and all the crazy ways people can interpret your words or actions. But at the end of the day, it's really important to understand that by creating even like 10 or like you said, 100 true fans that are actually going to go out there and refer you, that's what you really want as a realtor, right? That word of mouth referral is how every realtor I know that's crushing it really built their long-term lasting empire, right? And a lot of it's first creating that initial attention and awareness. And social media is a great way to start building that bond. And one more point to the idea of trying to play it in the middle, it's really hard to pick up the signal if everyone else is in there. And so it becomes very noisy where, just naturally as humans, it's the extremes, the more polarizing things that break outside of the day-to-day, which actually grabs people's attention. So I absolutely love that. And then finally, by really embracing your passion, I think there's something a lot of people overlook there, and sharing it with your audience is you start doing business with people you just like. And all of a sudden that work-life balance, you stop having that conversation and just work is life and life is work. And I know that at first, like some people find that really off-putting, but for me, that's literally just how I live. And I love it that way because I'm able to really just do business with people I want to do business with, that like we connect on multiple levels rather than simply being a transaction. We're actually building a relationship.
Yeah, and I also find for people that get overwhelmed with posting on social media, it's because they're trying to be a different version of somebody else. They're saying, well, this top agent's posting this stuff. I don't have a professional photographer to go post photos like them. You're not them. They're not you. Nobody can be a better version of you than you can. So for me, I always tell people your job's going to become so much easier in terms of building a brand and a presence on social media if you just be yourself, because you're no longer trying to do something that other people have done. You're simply sharing your true passions. And when you can wake up and post things that are true to yourself, you're no longer having to copy and fall into that mold of this is what others have done, so now I have to try and do that. And you're going to see that the content and the videos and everything is going to flow so much seamlessly because this is the true you.
100% agree. talking about the true you and just being authentic on your content, I'd love for you to share your perspective on this, because I see a lot of new realtors do this too. They start their new realtor page, and then the next day they've got 10,000 or 100,000 followers on Instagram. Now, they're maybe getting one comment per post. What are your thoughts overall on buying followers? You know, these, like, I don't know about you, but every day on Instagram, I probably have 10 DMs in my request being like, do you want to get 100,000 followers for $10? You know, what's the story there, Mike?
Yeah, I get that all the time. And I've got, good friends of mine that are actually in that space where they're like, Mike, I'll get you to 100,000 and it's all going to be from some place that they're never going to speak your language. And again, I go back to the fact that it's quality over quantity. It's much better. Here's a quote that I say to people all the time, and this is very real because I see it in my friend circle, is that I know people that have more followers and dollars in their bank account. I know some people that have 1,000 followers, but they're worth $300 million. I know some people that have 1 million followers that are struggling to get a 9-to-5 job because they're broke. At the end of the day, I think what's more important is the quality, and the numbers will follow. If you put out and do that quality test that I alluded to over time, your content will grow and the numbers will flourish in time. But it's a matter of delayed gratification and trusting the process. For me, sure, I could have way more followers. I've got friends that offered to do it for free, but I know that if I'm growing at a slower pace, maybe 1,000 every 3 months or 5 months or 6 months, these are 1,000 people that would actually buy stuff that I put out. And I'd much rather have the numbers in my bank account go up than the numbers on Instagram and try and put up a persona. So I don't agree with buying your following. I understand that people think of the metrics that way, but here's what you need to understand. I got that $15 million listing when I had under 1,000 followers. I was recognized because of the impact I was making from Instagram as one of the top 30 realtors in social media when I had under 2,000 followers. None of my credentials or accolades have come because of the following. It came from the impact I've made with the following that I already had. So if you service those 386 people like you're the best fans, more will come. But if you tell people, hey, I'm not going to start posting great stuff or investing into my content until I've got 10K, you're never going to get to 10K because you're missing out on the people that have already raised their hand and say, hey, Mike, I'm one of these 300 people. I want to see more content from you, but now you're ignoring me, so I'm not enough. I'm just a number to you. It's a real person behind that number that wants to see content from you. So that's much more important than inflating it just to try and get the optics. And when they see the reality behind you not knowing what the hell you're doing, the truth will come to fruition pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's really important you make the most of the following you have and just grow that rather than focus on trying to stack stats that are truly meaningless. And actually just hearing you talk again, it reminded me about some of the best practices or some of the things at least I used to do that I've kind of fallen off the wagon with that maybe I'll have to pick up again. But I literally, when I had less followers than I do today, I used to go on Instagram stories and just look at who actually viewed my stories. I would just DM 5 of them and just be like, hey man, like, thanks for watching the story. Like, what's going on with you? These days I'm always just trying to play catch up on my DMs, but there's so many great little strategies and tactics when it comes to social media that can really open up your horizons and the impact you're creating. And I really like you using that word because for myself and my company, that's actually like our core value is impact, and everything we do is built around that in that framework. So what are some things that a newer realtor can do when it comes to Instagram or Facebook to start really creating impact other than maybe just posting about their hobbies or personally about themselves?
Definitely. I think there's a couple things. The biggest thing that a lot of people are lacking is consistency and quality. So I think the biggest thing is look at your consistency that you can actually commit to. So I see so many people that reach out to me and say, Mike, just watch your YouTube video on Instagram for realtors. I'm fired up. I'm going to post every single day. And I'm like, no, you're not, because you can't. The only reason why somebody like Gary Vee can post every single day is because he's got a 50-person marketing team crushing out 50 good pieces of content to post every day. But the thing is you have to look at your own capacity of what you can commit to. So the first thing I say to people is look at what you can commit to for a minimum of 6 months. If that's only 2 photos a week, 3 photos a week, that's fine, but do it every single week for 6 months. And then the next thing is look at the quality, but not just the quality of the image, but also the quality of the content that you're sharing in the message. Because if you look at anybody, that you engage with, it always evokes some sort of emotion, whether it be passion, anger, excitement, the Me Too aspect of, oh, I feel that way too. It's something that pulls on your own emotions. You need to make sure that your content that you're delivering is quality enough for them to want to engage with it. And then the last part, I think, is just people documenting what they're already doing. Don't overcomplicate it. Make sure that you're sharing your journey, and the stuff will come into play. But I think a lot of people are looking for the perfect photos, the perfect poses, the perfect quality, and that's not what does well. If you look at one of the most infamous videos of all time, the highest converting ad on Facebook, Ty Lopez here in my garage, him with like an iPhone 4 with his Lamborghini in the background talking to the phone. The reason why that did so well is because it wasn't set up in a production studio. It wasn't perfect. It was him on his phone. People connect with raw and authentic. So as you start to just document your journey, we help a lot of realtors with their content, and we have a realtor that she just shared 5 tips for buying a house and got an $800,000 referral because she was providing value. As a realtor, or an investor, more than 99% of the public, even as a brand new agent that just has your license, you've gone through the licensing process, you have enough education, information, and value to provide to people that is proven to be of desire to the general public. All you've got to do is share it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it, man. That's fantastic.
Thanks again to Mike for sharing his experiences when it comes to being a realtor and building that social media brand. Now, his story resonates with me a lot, just like Jeff Weibo's, because I can remember Jeff when he was really getting into becoming a realtor and getting some friction from people that really didn't understand the value in social media. But now with hindsight, I'm pretty sure Jeff's glad he approached the last 4 years as a realtor and really focused on building his brand and his social media influence. And the exact same is true with Mike. If you guys want to follow along with Mike and his journey, we're going to throw a link in the video description down below, so make sure you jump over to his YouTube channel. Again, it's always great to see another Canadian crushing it on YouTube. Otherwise, if you guys want to watch more great Canadians crushing it on YouTube, check out this playlist right here, or check out this playlist right here. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.